You are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Darryl Kinsey Jr. welcoming you to the lap of the extra mile for today, September 19th, 2024. We are coming into Bristol, baby. Singapore for the F1 night race as well. And join me to talk about all of this, of course, my co-host, Jenn B.
Hey!
Good evening, everyone. No Michael, no Chris this evening. Hey, if you're listening in, whether it be on Facebook, Twitter, I'm going to call it Twitter because I'm not going to call it X, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Instagram. Thank you so much for listening. And if you're watching or listening, to the re-air or watching the re-air, thank you so much for tuning in. Sit tight because in just a moment, we got to pay a couple of bills. When we come back, we're going to get started. So sit tight.
For the last 10 years, iSports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at iSports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iSportsRadio.com. At iSportsRadio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at iSports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making iSports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, iEsports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
And we're back here on the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Darryl and Jenn B here with you this evening. No Michael or Chris this evening. Chris is probably out listening. He's out in... Chris, you're going to have to text me the name of the machine that you're in. He sent me a picture earlier this evening, but he's out harvesting beans this evening. So he's out on the harvester. So we will not see him this evening. A fine piece of engineering, though. I have to try to get that picture up here so you can see it later. But we are here. We are ready to talk racing, and we're going to start with NASCAR in Watkins Glen. Go bowling at the Glen. A bunch of cars went bowling, but at the end of the day, it was Chris Buescher getting the win in the Cup Series. For Buescher, I would say, Jen, better late than never, but I know he's kicking himself that this didn't happen like 27 races ago.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Too little, too late. But yeah, it was a great race for him. Not so much for a few others, but he got his redemption for sure.
Yeah. We'll get to the Cup race more in a little bit. I want to pivot because you actually watched the ending of the Xfinity Series race that Connor Zilisch ended up winning. Look, that kid's going to be a stud at some point. He's dominated ARCA. Now he's just wins his first Xfinity Series race and does it going away. It was a convincing win, but that last lap had about 15 wrecks.
Yes.
And I love the Xfinity Series, but some of y'all glaze the Xfinity Series a little bit too hard. So when stuff like this happens, I got to go, is this your best series in NASCAR? Because these guys, it's like the overtime finishes come in Xfinity and they just take the brains out. The overtime finishes in Xfinity are what everybody thinks the Cup overtime finishes are. I swear to God. It is absolutely ridiculous. And they finally just threw the caution after they piled up like 5 cars into the short chute before the bus stop, where I think it was NASCAR saying, okay, y'all going to kill each other if we let y'all come around here for these last few corners. So we're just going to throw the caution here. It started a conversation about the racing etiquette at the end of these races and what needs to be done. It is very simple. The people holding the steering wheel need to get their heads out the rear.
Oh,
you're
sorry.
Still there.
I think I lost my connection there for a second. Yeah, I was watching the highlights and it seemed like the last lap lasted for like 15 minutes. And there was only 15 minutes of highlights. So I was like, what is happening? Why are we still on the last lap? What is going on here?
I mean, they piled up a bunch of race cars, and then Cup comes out in the very first lap of the race, and like half the playoff drivers get taken out in that accident. Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski were involved in wrecks during that race. Basically, half the playoff field got involved in incidents. Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, William Byron, all involved in multiple accidents. Ryan Blaney was actually knocked out in the lap 1 accident. He was officially credited with completing no laps. Went out on lap number 1. Ricky Stenhouse went out on lap 2. And then AJ Allmendinger had a transmission issue to go out on lap number 6. But those are only 3 cars out of the race. But that keeps the playoff grid more or less even with each other. However, when you go to the playoff standings, there's some drivers that you did not expect at the bottom. In fact, I did not expect either. Actually, the only one I have is Harrison Burton as being the first 4 out. You've got Martin Truex down here.
Yep.
Going to need a win. Brad Keselowski, going to need a good finish or a win. They are 14 and 12 points behind. And then Denny Hamlin, man, that strategy at Atlanta, Jen, just doesn't look good at this point.
No, not at all. No, especially when he was struggling all day on Sunday with issue after issue and accident. He was in what, 2 separate incidents at least?
Yep, he was in the lap 1 incident, then he had an accident later on in the day.
So, yeah, it's not boding well. It's got 6 points there he's got to make up.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin finished 23rd on the day. Now, 6 points in a vacuum is not a very high bar to climb, but 6 points, you've struggled the first 2 races.
Yeah.
And Bristol is next.
Right. Yes.
That is a concern.
You need 6 points, and you need all these guys above you to get 6 points less.
Yeah. And I mean, these guys could have issues, but Bristol is it's almost a mini super speedway with how it runs. It's high speeds, but it's a short track. And you are daring yourself not to get involved in an incident because they're probably going to bring the tires back from March. Now, we're probably not going to see the tire wear that we saw in March because it's going to be a normal. Yeah. I hope we don't see that. Like, folks are talking, it was the greatest race ever. Y'all only saying that because it was Bristol. Any other track, that would have been a farce. But
those tires were so bad.
Yeah, it's going to be a normal habitable temperature, so the tires should be fine. But at the same time, you've got to try to come up through the field and don't have a bad qualifying effort.
Right.
Because you get stuck back there with the squirrels at Bristol, you can kiss your playoff chances goodbye. And it
you're
just
not
feels,
squeezing through.
No. And it feels like by hook or by crook with Hamlin, something always goes wrong in these last 10 to cost him a championship.
Yeah. It's not looking good. It's not looking good at all.
No. And it just feels like he's going to end up at the point where he is going to get that Mark Martin label as the best driver and ever win a championship. It just does not work out for him.
And I pulled for Mark Martin a few times. I was like, come on, just let him get one.
Well, it didn't help. He had Senior to deal with, and then that Jeff Gordon kid kind of came up and obliterated everybody. So there was that too. But Denny Hamlin, as we look back at it, if he doesn't win a championship, is going to be one of those drivers that was hurt by the absolute dominance that was Jimmy Johnson in the early 2000s.
Oh, absolutely.
When he rattled off those 5 championships in a row, you just sat there and said, there's going to be a couple of drivers at the end of this that should have 1 or 2 more championships than they have and they didn't get them because of Jimmy Johnson. I look at Carl Edwards, who's no longer a full-time driver. I look at, I was going to say Matt Kenseth, but I don't think Matt Kenseth would have picked up another title, honestly. I definitely look at Kevin Harvick. I even look at a Martin Truex Jr., who was hot for a couple of years. Even though he's got 2 championships, Joey Logano could have got another one. Brad Keselowski, who beat Jimmy 1 year, could have 2. The guy that owned his car, Jeff Gordon, should have been a 7-time champion if the system was different. There's a lot of drivers that lost championships because Jimmy Johnson's got them all in his basement in his trophy case in Charlotte or wherever he lives now.
Right.
There's not a lot that you can say other than Jimmy Johnson was really good and Denny Hamlin's had some real bad luck trying to win championships.
Yes. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson rarely had bad luck. Everything always went his way.
He had that golden horseshoe, man. What else can I say? But another topic from the Watkins Glen race, the big last lap battle between Shane Van Gisbergen and Chris Buescher. And I think they've all figured out that, we're not going to let you do what you did to us at Chicago, because he moved Chris Buescher. And on that last lap, going to the bus stop, Chris Buescher moved him right back.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, you're not pushing me out this time.
Yeah. And Shane Van Gisbergen, he tried to get him back on lap 9, almost spun it out. It was a fun race. He ends up finishing second. That guy's going to get into the playoffs because let's be real, he's going to win a road course race going away. I mean, this car is similar to a V8. I was going to say V8 supercar, but it's just supercar series now. So like one of the supercars in Australia that he was racing, and he puts it to good use.
Yeah, definitely.
So we head into Bristol. Here are the point standings as we go into Bristol. And we'll view the playoff grid thanks to handydandy.nascar.com. We'll get that on your screen momentarily. And we'll take a look at the standings. Joey Logano, he is the one playoff driver to win so far, so he's automatically into the next round. Christopher Bell second, 46 points behind. Austin Cindric, 46 points to the good. Austin Cindric plus 43. That is a surprise to me, seeing Cindric that high. Alex Bowman, and I got some comments about that, plus 41. Daniel Suarez, plus 36. Tyler Reddick and Chase Elliott, all plus 30 to the good in 6th and 7th. Ryan Blaney, despite the issues at Watkins Glen, still 29 points over the cut line. Kyle Larson, 26 over the cut line. William Byron, 25 over the cut line. Chase Briscoe and Ty Gibbs tied at 6 over the cut line. That would be your 12 that would go into the playoffs if the cut line was today. In Jenn, the biggest thing for me, looking at this cut line, Alex Bowman leading the way for Hendrick, 41 points back. 41 points to the good. And this is the guy that for some reason everybody wants fired, and I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I mean, he's doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
He's competing in most races. So I don't understand what the issue is. He's staying consistent with the rest of his team. I don't get it.
He's turning it on at the right time, though. He's been a consistent driver all year. It's just people really want him out of that 48 for whatever reason. And Daniel Suarez, got to give thumbs up to him. Already looks like a shoe-in to get to the round of 12, as he is now 36 points to the good. Just needs to have a solid day on Saturday night in Bristol. Not a excellent day, just needs a solid day, and he's on to the next round. And Jenn, as you look at the top 12 in points, anybody there that stands out as a surprise to you?
Austin Cindric?
Mm-hmm. I agree with Cindric. I did not expect him to be that high after 2 races, but
yeah, I mean, the rest of them aren't overly surprising. The order is a little surprising.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, I mean, Denny Hamlin on the outside looking in is a little surprising.
Yes, here's your on the bubble. We talked about them a little bit earlier, and Ty Gibbs also good little surprise for the rookie driver up there in 12th. He's got to hold on, but he's got a chance.
Yeah.
To go into the round of 12. It's going to be fun. Bristol is a great round 1 cutoff race because of the short confines. We're going to see some tempers. We're going to see some fights, I think, at the end of that race, because everybody's going to be clawing tooth and nail to get through that traffic and make sure they secure themselves a spot into round 2, which is going to be even more chaotic as the tensions just can keep ratcheting up. But Bristol, short track, short tempers at night. I don't think it's going to be a full moon this time, so the chaos might be down a little bit, but the playoff drivers that can survive those tight confines are going to be the ones that are going to be in the best position heading into the round of 12. And you got to look at even William Byron, Kyle Larson, if they get involved in an early accident, and Larson has been involved in accidents in both playoff races so far, and the damage is to the point they can't continue, he could find himself out of the playoffs in round 1.
Right. Yeah. And Chase Briscoe and Ty Gibbs better watch their backs. Somebody's going to be trying to take them out to gain those positions.
I think somebody might be getting turned at the end of the race on Saturday night. But hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the FIA president is in hot water for some comments he made again, and the FBI visited an IndyCar team this year, or visited an IndyCar team today, and it wasn't for 1,000 bottles of baby oil. We'll talk about that on the other side of this break here on the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome to the 305, aka the Magic City, and this is Magic City Scoreboard. I'm your host, JB, and right here we're going to talk anything Miami. Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, Miami Hurricanes, Marlins, Panthers, Inter Miami, and even high school football. So join me once a week right here on Magic City Scoreboard on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed to all that is sports.
Hey, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans. This is Jenn B, host of the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in live to the Show of the Land on Tuesdays, where we will cover the Cleveland Browns, Cavs, Guardians, and Monsters. We will also talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets, Crew, Fury, and of course, the Ohio State Buckeyes. We'll also cover other colleges in the area like Akron, Kent State, Cleveland State, Mount Union, John Carroll, Baldwin Wallace, Youngstown State, among others. So like I said, if you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in Tuesdays to the Show of the Land with Jenn B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we're back here on the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Darryl and Jenn here with you this evening. Thank you to the 60 viewers all out there on Twitter watching this evening, or X, as they call it now. Thank you all so much for watching. I just ticked up another number to 61. So thank you all for watching live. And hey, if you miss any live show, any iSports Radio show, remember our audio only backups can be found wherever you get your podcast. And of course, check out the YouTube repository, which has a copy of every StreamYard show and every recorded show that we've ever done for that matter as well. So let's go ahead and get back into it. We're going to talk some news where we get into the Formula One on-track things. We're going to start with some open wheel conversation, and we're going to start, unfortunately, with Ben Saline's statement. And you guys know I like to get a little punny with the names here, these segments, and I can't type the one I was going to use for this one. This comes from motorsport.com, story that broke earlier today. And Ben Saline, I'm just going to call him Ben because I do not want to butcher his last name. I've got enough to be mad at him right now. Apparently, the FIA has asked Formula One management to reduce the amount of swear words that are on the radio broadcast that they put out. Never mind that the words are actually bleeped out. And Ben, I don't know if I can blow this up for you. I'm going to highlight this. We have to differentiate between our sport, motorsport, and rap music. We're not rappers, you know. They say the F word how many times per minute? We're not like that. That's them and we are us. I'm going to bring myself to into the solo here for a minute. Benjamin. I want you to get real close to the screen because I have something I need to ask you. What are you talking about? And what do you mean that we are not rappers? Because as Lewis Hamilton rightly said, there is a racial element to this, and a stereotypical one at that. As Lewis Hamilton said it, and I will read his quote verbatim, I don't like how he expressed it, saying that rappers is very stereotypical. And if you think about it, most rappers are black, and that really kind of points it towards when it says we are not like them. So I think those are the wrong choice of words. There is a racial element there. Here is my thing. I'm going to bring Jenn back in here as I go through this. This is the second or third time that that Ben has said or done something with the FIA that is off-putting towards black individuals. There was the pointless rule change for the nose jewelry that started an entire debacle with Lewis Hamilton, who is the only one that wears a nose piece on the grid. Say what you will about the rule, it had something to do with Lewis Hamilton. There was the flippant nature of how he spoke about what happened at Abu Dhabi 2021. No, I'm not letting that go. And now this. One time is a coincidence. Second time is a trend. Third time, you know what you're doing.
Right. Definitely. I couldn't agree more. It's uncalled for. It's excessive, and it is extremely stereotypical. And the thing that gets me even more about it is the drivers that you hear the most often going off are not Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
So I don't understand it. I mean, just this past race, it was Perez that was bleepity bleep 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 bleep. So,
and that was Perez's fault that led to the bleepity bleep
right.
bleep bleep.
Yes. and Sainz was much more calm about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, people in higher positions really need to learn how to watch how they say things and what they're saying and who they're addressing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like a lot of these guys just say the first thing that comes into their head instead of formulating a proper response and reaction. It's uncalled for, and truly ridiculous.
There is a whole nother level I could go to this, but I respect iSports Radio. I respect your time, and I don't want to put you in the middle of a conversation that is probably one that this show is not built for. And there, trying to think of the right way to put this. There are levels to this that led to that comment going the way it did. And it's just a history of certain individuals and how they view black people. And that came out again from Ben. This is an implicit bias situation at this point. And if you're going to be running a world motorsport organization, you cannot have that type of bias and expect to stay in the top position in the job.
Right.
And if this is how things are going to go with him, we need to start having conversations about whether or not he's the man for the job. That is as far as I'm going to go with that. We can move on to a slightly more humorous subject. Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing got raided by the feds today.
Yikes.
They showed up again in motorsport.com. And we'll get that up here on the screen as we read along together. Motorsport.com posted this. The Federal Bureau of Investigations sent agents to Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing's race shop on Wednesday, actually. They arrived at 8:30 a.m. They were looking for information involving a staff member who may have taken documents from Andretti Racing. Or not really documents, but it was described in another story as secrets from Andretti to Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. They did not find any bottles of baby oil while they were there, which, given another topical indictment that just came out, I think the feds are good for that because they seem to be a bit traumatized by seeing that much baby oil in one place. But they did not give a reason when contacted by motorsports.com. However, another article did say that they were looking into a case of stolen intellectual property from Andretti Racing by an employee that is now with Rahal Letterman Lanigan. And I thought that we were done with the controversies, Jen, with all the controversies in IndyCar this year, with everything that went down with Penske. And now we've got the feds kicking down doors. So it's going to be an interesting offseason for Fox to get ready for IndyCar next year.
Yeah. Yeah. I did not have an FBI raid on my bingo card.
I had one, but not for motorsports related.
Right. It's just this entire season for all three of the major racing leagues has just been one crazy thing after another.
It's just been chaotic. And this brings shades of Spygate back in, I believe it was either 2007 or 2008 between McLaren and Ferrari, where an employee took documents from Ferrari and brought them to McLaren and got caught. And McLaren lost all their constructor points. It was a major scandal in Formula One at that time. I don't understand why people think they can get away with this. Yeah, you're going to get the job, but folks are going to notice when you've taken stuff out of a computer that you're not supposed to.
Right.
Especially now.
Yeah. All that stuff is trackable.
Yeah.
You can't even delete stuff and it be deleted for real.
No. They can bring back anything they want at this point.
Mhm.
And I don't get why he thought he'd get away with it. Now, whether or not this happened, the feds don't knock down doors unless they know what they're looking for.
Right.
So something happened here. Was Rahal Letterman Lanigan involved, as in they knew? We have no idea. They may not have knew this guy had this information. That will come out eventually. I hope they didn't, or that's going to be a whole nother scandal.
Yeah, for sure. That just makes it 100 times worse if they knew about it. So hopefully it was just one lone wolf trying to pull something, and dealing with him takes care of the problem. But it could get really, really crazy if that's not the case.
That is a story we will be monitoring as the offseason goes on, as that will definitely grow legs and continue into the new season, most likely. But we're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to get into Formula One at Azerbaijan. It was a tale of two McLarens on Sunday. And heading into Singapore, a certain driver is back on track. And I don't think a lot of people are happy about that. We'll talk about that on the other side of this break here on the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we are back here in the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Darryl and Jenn here with you to take you through what happened at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And it was pretty simple. Oscar Piastri ends up picking up the win. Charles Leclerc and George Russell round out the podium. And Jenn, it was a great run for Oscar.
Yes.
But on the other side, Lando Norris, 17th in qualifying, manages to get back to 4th, does pick up 3 more points on Max Verstappen in the run for the championship. But it was definitely a tale of 2 different McLarens this weekend, as Oscar Piastri was lights out.
Yes, he was.
You got to give him his flowers.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was spectacular. He held the lead most, if not all, of the race.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, Lando moved up quite a bit, and he held Max off most of the race. Max passed him a couple of times, and then he battled back and stayed in front to at least get some points gained. But yeah, the difference between him and Piastri was a little crazy.
And the thing with Piastri, now that he's picked up this second win, it's going to be a lot harder. And Chris and I were texting about this during the week. It's going to be a lot harder for them to institute whatever team orders they want to do to help Norris get back in this championship if Piastri is going to keep winning and keep excelling in this
Right.
car. And that's going to hurt Norris a bit, even though it seems like at this point, Max Verstappen can only get to 5th. Norris, remember, we did the math. He's got to keep knocking 8 points off this total every week.
Right.
And that means he's got to win or finish second the rest of the way. We'll see what happens here at Singapore. They've got to hope that Verstappen runs into any more trouble to make this a little bit easier, but he can't have mistakes like he had in qualifying and then lose out to his teammate who,
right,
in his own right, is succeeding. Well, let's not take anything away from Oscar.
And letting Piastri win that race a few weeks ago is not looking so great right now.
That is going to cost him the title at this point.
Yeah.
That is going to cost him the championship.
Yes. It's not going to look back on that moment fondly, I don't think.
Unless he loses by more than 6 points, that championship looks real stupid. I mean, letting Piastri win that race looks real stupid.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's troubling. And you look back at it and you just go, they have nobody else but themselves to blame, because you've got to understand where you are in that situation. You just have to.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there was a funny little collision between Perez and Perez and Sainz there near the end of that race.
Yes.
Still trying to figure out what Perez was doing coming out of turn 2. And I've seen it several times. Jen, from my spot, he just drove into the side.
Yes. Yeah, I was watching it and I was like, what just happened? And then they were showing the replay and the announcers were talking about how it was Perez's fault, but Perez was the one going off on the oh my gosh, I can't think of the word.
Going off on the radio.
Yes, thank you. And I'm like, what is he so mad about? He caused that. And I'm like, maybe I missed something. Let me watch this replay again. And I'm watching it. I'm like, no, I didn't miss anything. He caused that. Why is he so mad? I don't understand.
I had to go watch it a couple of times. I'm like, dude, why are you so mad? You are the one that caused this. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it was something else. Because I wasn't looking at first. I was doing something else, and I heard the radio going, and I was like, I hear beep, 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 beep. I was like, oh, somebody's mad about something. So I started paying attention again, and I was like, oh, a wreck. All right. So then they play the replay, and I'm like, wait a minute, whose radio is that? Oh, that's Perez. Why is he mad? I don't understand. I don't get it.
Perez just, I don't understand what has happened with him. I think the car changes hurt him the most, but he just looks like he's completely out of sorts.
Yeah.
And he can't figure it back out. Now he's got a seat for next year, but they have got to be regretting that long-term contract with him at this point.
Yeah, definitely. He's something else.
Yep. And that something else is not a good thing.
No.
Unfortunately, but let's get into we're going into Singapore this weekend, the night race in Formula One, the original night race in Formula One, a fast-flowing Singapore street circuit. They've added a 4th DRS zone to try to liven up the passing here, because Jen, despite this track being so fast, it's got some real narrow points, including, unfortunately, most of Sector 2, which makes it difficult to pass.
Yeah. I'm pulling it up right now so I can look at it.
Yeah. And when we get to...
That's a crazy looking track.
And when you get to... And when you get to places where it's tough to pass, you get worried about Kevin Magnussen because after his little suspension from Azerbaijan, he's back this week. And that means we could see some more chaos from him backing up half the field.
Yeah. Wow.
Which, here's the problem that they have created with when it comes to Kevin Magnussen. He does not have a contract for next year. He's basically out of F1. He has no more penalty points to make for the rest of the year because he got suspended. All of that is wiped out.
So
He's going to
he has
cause some
nothing to
chaos.
gain and nothing to lose.
He's going to cause some chaos on his way out.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not going to be pretty at all.
No. Wow. I'm looking at all these turns. That's crazy. That's a crazy track. Wow.
Yeah, you're gonna hear a lot of bleep 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 on the radio this weekend. But you go into it. This is the track last year that was the bugaboo for Red Bull, where I don't even think they scored. Meanwhile, we had that epic showdown between Ferrari and Mercedes. This could be a track where McLaren, you are salivating at the chance that if they mess up and Lando has a good night, that they could be in the driver's seat of trying to win this championship.
Yeah, and they took over the lead in the Constructors' Cup too.
Yep.
So
I think they're gonna hold that lead to the end. So I think at this point it is just about trying to secure that driver's championship.
Yeah.
But it's going to be tough, and unfortunately, they've put themselves in this situation. But for for Red Bull, we've been talking about it all year, pretty much since Max won the last race. It is situation critical now.
Yeah,
they've got to find a way. I don't even know if they can regain that pace from what feels like forever ago. They've just got to get on level with everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they just keep like you said, Max can't seem to finish above 5. So what happened the last few races? Like he was leading the pack and then he just kind of fell off and he can't get back to where he was.
I don't think they're going to be able to.
No.
Unfortunately. And we've got a special guest. Michael Ward has actually made it. Michael.
Oh.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, sir. You're just catching the end of it. We're talking about Singapore and the chances that Red Bull could have another disaster like they did last year.
Once again, I apologize for being late. Stuff happens, but
all good, man.
Yeah. I actually read an article before the show saying that this issue apparently started in Spain of last year, and apparently Perez said something about it, and of course Red Bull has a habit of not listening to the second driver.
Yeah, we've known that.
Yeah, so the issue just continued festering, getting worse, until you see what happens here.
So it sounds like it's a hard-baked issue into the car, which means God only knows if they'll be able to fix it.
So they will have to undo a year and a half of updates in order to find the root of the problem.
Wow.
If you want, I can link the article of the interview.
I would like to point out they've got 7 races left. They have 7 races left to try to fix this. I don't think it's going to happen. I really think Max is going to lose this championship. And with the high speeds that the McLaren can catch, and we've got a couple of tracks coming up. Singapore, United States, Mexico, where the McLaren should be strong. Really, the McLaren should be strong the rest of the way. The Red Bull's going to struggle. And it's going to struggle mightily. And I think we are going to see Max lose that championship. It's going to come down to Abu Dhabi, but he's going to lose the championship. And I don't want to say if it's unfortunate, but this is how it ends, unfortunately, for them. What I can say is tough cookies.
Yeah. I found the article. I found the article, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't tell Chris you said that.
Oh, he'll get me next week. Also, there's a pretty persistent rumor going around that Daniel Ricciardo is probably done with V-Carb, and Liam Lawson will be getting that seat. With all the seats really filling up for F1 in 2025, that's probably reading the tea leaves. Ricciardo's not coming back, I don't think.
No, it's pretty much set in stone. I think we're gonna see him out next year, and we're gonna see Liam Lawson. And I didn't say Liam Neeson this time. What I do feel bad for Ricciardo because his career started with a lot of promise,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just fell off. And it's F1 is a very cruel sport, and I think this is just another showing of, it's a cruel sport. Things can sometimes look positive and then come crashing right down. So I don't know where else he can go per se. I would say Aston Martin, but Aston Martin may become a super team later on. So
with that ancient Fernando Alonso and the coach's son. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
If
they get Max, it'll be a different story. But
yeah, but if they get, I don't see them. That's going to be Alonso leaving because I don't see them firing. I just don't see.
They're not going to fire Lance.
That
Lance is going to have to get bored of Formula One and then leave. And it's really frustrating because in the next couple of years, they have a lot going for them. Like they have a new WEC team. They have a new factory. They have the new wind tunnel. They have Adrian freaking Newey.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Fernando Alonso. You have a lot going for you.
And it's all going to be slowed down because of the guy in the other seat.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And then they also have with Alonso, he said he might be done with Formula One, but he's not really done racing. So I believe that's him saying, I have WEC experience also, so I can go to the Aston Martin program. That's what I was hinting at with the whole super team thing.
Alonso back in WEC. I'm down with it.
That Aston Martin program is going to need a driver. It's going to need some credible drivers.
Yeah. And that car is going to be a lot of fun. We don't know when it's going to take the track next year, but if it runs well enough.
I can't wait for Newey to get his hands on that car.
Yes. So it's going to be fun to see what Newey comes up with. And the racing is going to be fun this weekend as well. We've got Singapore this week for for Formula One. I keep saying
imagine if IndyCar went to Singapore.
It'd be fun. But
they made some new changes to that track too.
Hey, maybe it can be that that international IndyCar race that Mark Miles has been talking about for 10 years.
I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I don't see how it's happening, but I personally wouldn't mind it.
Yeah. But Ricardo is just a lot of, just to wrap up the point on that, there's a lot of potential there that was just never realized. And that's unfortunate because he is a great guy. Like, he's legitimately a good guy.
Yeah, and he's a pretty good driver too. I just feel like Formula One, like the way the cars are built, they just really don't match his driving style.
No. And it's unfortunate, but he can always come over and give NASCAR a try. I think we'd love him here.
Oh yeah, I think we love him here. I think they love him in IndyCar. I think they love him in endurance racing. He has a lot of propositions he can definitely go to. I honestly feel like he can come to IndyCar and really put up a fight, honestly.
Yep. But hey, we are going to get ready to get out of here for this weekend. We're going to go check out the end of the truck race, which is going on right now. Michael, thanks for popping in for as long as you could. Jenn B also with us this evening. For Michael and Jenn, I am Darryl. This has been The Extra Mile, and we will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.